שחקי על החלומות, זו אני החולם צר, שחקי באדמה מי, כי עודני מאמין בה, שחקי באדמה מי, כי עודני מאמין בה, כי עוד נפשי דרור שואפת, לו בחרתי על עגל פז, כי עוד אמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו רוח עז, כי עוד אמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו שחקי על החלומות, זו אני החולם צח, שחקי באדמה מי, כי עודני מאמין בך, שחקי באדמה מי, כי עודני מאמין בך, כי עוד נפשי דרור שואפת, לו בחרתי על עגל פז, כי עוד אאמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו רוח עז, כי עוד אאמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו רוח עז. שחקי שחקי על החלומות, זו אני החולם צח, שחקי באדמה מי, כי עודני מאמין בך, שחקי באדמה מי, כי עודני מאמין בך, כי עוד נפשי דרור שואפת, לו בחרתי על עגל פז, כי עוד אאמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו רוח עז, כי שחקי שחקי על החלומות, זו אני החולם שחקי באדם מאמין, כי עודני מאמין בך, שחקי באדם מאמין, כי עודני מאמין בך, כי עוד נפשי דרור שואפת, לו מכרתי על עגל פז, כי עוד אאמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו רוח עז, כי עוד אאמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו רוח עז. שחקי שחקי על החלומות, זו אני החולם שחקי באדם מאמין, כי עודני מאמין בך, שחקי
Turn it.
I'm going to do a brief introduction of you before we start. I can go to
Perfect.
the other one if that's better for you. Or...
Either, whichever you prefer.
Welcome, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. So nice to see so many of you guys here in public and many, many more on Zoom. I keep forgetting that the Zoom camera is there, and I always look at the television screen, so I apologize for that. Welcome to Friday night services. I wanted to just give a brief introduction of Rabbi Gelman. He is a fifth-year rabbinical student at JTS. He's receiving his ordination along with a master's degree in sacred music this coming May. He majored in Near Eastern Studies, specializing in Israeli history while at Princeton University. He served as the youth director and social justice coordinator in Rhode Island, where he coordinated help for Syrian refugees, reestablished the youth theater group. He is currently the rabbinic intern at the Jewish Community Center in Paramus, New Jersey. He enjoys hiking, working on his latest play, and practicing guitar. Please welcome to the Bima, Rabbi Samuel Gelman.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom. It's such a pleasure to be out here. I feel bad it's so rainy, but really, the rain could not keep me away. All the warm smiles I see here, just a feeling of being welcomed. It's, the warm smiles I see reflected in your eyes, I should say. One day I'll be able to actually see those warm smiles without a mask, but till then, just the look I can see. It's really a pleasure to be out here, and thank you so much for welcoming me to the community. It's already been an amazing Shabbat, and I know it's going to be even more amazing and special, so thank you. Tonight is already very special, I understand, as we have some Hebrew school kids here who are going to be leading parts of the service for us throughout Kabbalat Shabbat. Kabbalat Shabbat, as you may or may not know, is our introduction to Shabbat services. The proper Shabbat service doesn't really begin until Mariv, when we say the Barchu, the ancient call to prayer that was recited back in the days of the temple. That's when the service proper starts. Kabbalat Shabbat is kind of a warm-up, and it's my favorite kind of warm-up. It's a musical warm-up. There's not necessarily physical activity required unless you're really into dancing, which I encourage in the proper place. But we're going to join together in Kabbalat Shabbat. We're going to do it through song. We're going to raise our voices together, and we're going to be led in parts by our wonderful Hebrew school kids, which I'm really excited for. So I believe we are going to begin tonight's Kabbalat Shabbat service. I don't think we have it necessarily in Lev Shalem, but you probably know the words. No, here it is. It's on page 5. Oh, we have a song for them. Well, we're on page 5. We're going to invite the Hebrew school kids to come up and sing Shalom Alechem. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Eichem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yasher Koach.
Very well done. There is a legend in the Talmud relates to Shalom Aleichem. Right? We're blessing the angels who come in on Shabbat. And there's a legend in the Talmud that says when Shabbat begins and we start making Shabbat in our homes, a good angel and a wicked angel come to see what we're up to. And if they see that the table is set for Shabbat and the family is observing Shabbat and sitting around eating a nice dinner and eating in peace and joy, the good angel says, "May it be your will, God in heaven, that all their future Shabbats look like this." And the bad angel is forced to say, "Amen." But if the angels come and see the house in disarray and people fighting and yelling and no table set for Shabbat, and people aren't excited about Shabbat, the bad angel says, "May it be your will, God in heaven, that every Shabbat for them look like this." And the good angel is forced to also say, "Amen." To me, it's whether or not you believe literally in a good angel and a bad angel coming to visit you on Shabbat. You get out of Shabbat, you get out of life what you put into it. And so we welcome angels of peace, angels of rest, beginning Shabbat, hoping to bring that into our lives, putting peace and rest and joy into our life, that all our Shabbats and all our days may be filled with it. We're going to begin Kabbalat Shabbat with Yedid Nefesh on page 10.
Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman Meshoch Erentzonach Yarutz Avdach Kemo Haya Ishtachave Muhadarach Ki Eravo Yedidutach Minof Etzuf V'chol Taham Adonai Ziv HaOlam Nafshi Cholat Avatach Anahelna Refanallah Beharola Noam Zivach Hastir Chazek Vetintrape Vehaitalach Shivchat Olam Vatik Yehemu Rachamecha Vechusna Al Beno Havach Ki Zekama Nichsof Lirop Tiferet Uza ישנות ועתיד עולם יגאלנה ופרוץ חביב עלי הן סוכת שלומך תהי ארץ מכבודך נגילה ונשמחה בך מהר אהוב כי במועד וכונני כי ימי עולם ירדי די 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 ירדי די 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 ירדי די 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 ירדי די די ירדי די 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 ירדי די 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 ירדי די 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 ירדי די די ירדי די 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 ירדי די 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 ירדי די 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 ירדי די די ירדי די 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 ירדי די 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 ירדי די די די
We turn to Lechune Ranana on page 11. Yedid Nefesh was even the prelude to the prelude. It's not even the beginning of Kabbalat Shabbat. The song itself doesn't even have anything necessarily to do with Shabbat. It's just, as you might tell from the tune, a song of intense longing, desire to connect with God, desire to feel whole, which is a really beautiful way to open Shabbat. We try to bring wholeness into our Shabbat. And now we begin Kabbalat Shabbat proper with Lechune Ranana on page 11.
Lechune Ranana l'Adonai nariya l'tzor yishenu. They come up on Amadon. ארבעים שנה אקוד בדור ואומר המתו אל לבבם והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי באבי אם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
And we have Hebrew school coming up, or later? I don't know. We're Shiru Ladonai, page 13.
שירו לאדוני שיר חדש שירו לאדוני כל הארץ שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו ספרו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני אומלל מאוד נוראו כל אלוהים איי 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 כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים ואדוני שמיים עשה הוד והדר לפניו עוז בתפארת במקדשו אבו לאדוני משפחות עמים אבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז אבו לאדוני כבוד שמו שאו מנחה ובואו לחצרותיו איי 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 השתחוו לאדוני בהר הקודש חילו מפניו כל הארץ אמרו בגויים אדוני מלך אף תיקון תבל בתימות ירינמים במישרים ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ ירם הים ומלוא יעלו שרי וכל אשר בו אז ירננו כל הצייר לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ ישפוט אבל בצדק וימים באמונתו עיני 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 עיני
We're on page 15. Adonai malach hagel haaretz yismichu im rabim.
Ohave Adonai sinura shomer nafshot chasidav v'yarashayim yatzilem or zaru al tzadik u'yishrelev simchu tzadikim Adonai v'hodu lezecher kodsho. Mizmor, page 17. Shiru Adonai shir chadash ki nifla tasa hoshia lo yamino Uzroa kodshoria Adonai Yeshuato Yene Agoyim Gilansin Kanto Zachar Chasto Ve'emunato Levet Yisrael Ra'u Kol Afsei Haaretz Et Yeshuat Eloheinu Hariyu Adonai Kol Haaretz Pitzchu Veronenu Vezameru Zamru Adonai Bechinor Vekozim Ra Bechatzotzrot Bekol Shofar Hariyu Lifnei HaMelech Adonai Ram Hayam Numlo Tevel Veyoshmeva Neharoim Chahu Chaf Yachar Harim Yeranenu Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishpot Haaretz Yishpot Tevel Betzedek Veyamim B'meisharim Yanai 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 Yanai
Before we turn on to page 19, where we'll be continuing with Adonai Malach, I want to encourage you to really follow along if you know the Hebrew well or if you know the translation better, if English is better, to really look at what it is exactly we're saying. And so many of these psalms focus too, not just on us giving praise to God, but there's so many images of nature. Trees, animals, the sea, the mountains. It reminds us as we bring in Shabbat, and we're trying to bring in joy for ourselves, that we're not alone here. Right? We have to take stock of the amazing natural world that we're in, the amazing natural world that also gives thanks to God, that praises God. These images of seas and mountains reciting in joy. And you'll see that as we continue through Kabbalat Shabbat, those motifs of nature keep coming up and up and up. So I encourage you, as we keep singing, keep an eye on the translation and see what pops out at you. And see also if there are additional nature references to remind us of our place in the world as well. We're on page 19. Adonai malach yizu amim yoshev rubim tenu haaretz. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. We're on page 21. Please rise. Mizmor leDavid Havul Adonai b'nei Elim Havul Adonai Kavod v'hoz Hay Havul Adonai Kevod Shemo Hishtachvu Adonai Hadra Kodesh Kol Adonai Al Hamayim El Hakavod Irim Adonai Hamayim Rabim Kol Adonai Ba'koach Hay Kol Adonai Behadar Kol Adonai Shover Arazim Vayeshaber Adonai Et Harzei Halvanon Vayarki Kerem Kemo Egel Levanon Vesirion Kemo Vein Re'emim Ay, Kohol Adonai, Chod Sev Lavotesh, Kohol Adonai, Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kohol Adonai, Yachol Layalot, Vayechesof, Ye'arot, Uvheichalom, Kulo Omer Kavod, ay, Adonai Lama Halabo Yashav Yeshev Adonai Melech Leolam, Adonai Oz Le'amo Yiten Adonai Yevarech Elamo Vashalom. Ay, You may be seated. I'll tell you something that occurred to me as I was just singing this, as I was thinking about nature. We just sang the lines, Kol Adonai al Hamayim, and then later, Adonai al Mayim Rabim. And the voice of God is over the waters, God over the great waters. And I thought to myself at first while I was singing this just now, what's so impressive about that? Your voice is over the waters. I can project my voice out over the waters. What's it really saying here? And then I thought further about those Mayim Rabim, those deep waters, and how there's so much we don't know about the sea. And while those words were written, the sea was mostly unknown, and today, 2,500 years later, the sea is still mostly unknown. They say there's more for us to explore the bottom of the sea than there is on the moon. And to me, that's a reminder of still the mystery being here on this planet, and the wonder and awe that we still cannot comprehend, separated 2,500 years from when these words were written, that majesty of the deep waters of nature, of our place in the world, that's still there. That was what I thought of as I was singing that melody just now. That's what that evoked for me. We're going to continue on page 22, on Abakoach.
Anna bekoach bekoach gedulat yemincha yemincha Tatir tzerura kaperinat amcha sagveinu tahareinu nora Hanna bekoch gedulat yamincha tatir tzerura kaberinat rinat amecha sagvenu tareinu nora Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Yai dai dai yo Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Yai dai 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 Yai dai dai dai
It's my great pleasure now to ask the Hebrew school kids to come up and lead us in Lecha Dodi. We're on page 23. I know I will. 23.
Dodi likrat kahala Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kahala Penei Shabbat nekabela Vezachor b'diborecha ishmiyanu Hamiuchad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad U'Tiferet Ve'elitila Le'Adodi Likrat Kahala Ne'Shabbat Ne'Kabela Likrat Shabbat Lechu V'Nelcha Ki Mekor Beracham merosh mikedem nesu hasof maaseh b'machshavat chila lecha dodi likrat kahala penei Shabbat nekabela Hikdash melech melucha kumi Zehi mitoch afecha ralach shebet Behemek habacha vehu yachamo Alayichem lav lehadodi likrat kahala Penei Shabbat nekabela Itnahari me'afarku milivshi bigdei Tihi fartecha mi'alya ben yishai beit halach mi korba el nashi ge'ala lecha dodi likakala Nei Shabbat ekabela Torari kiva orem Alayich nigla Nehadodi Likrat kahala Penei Shabbat nekabela Tevoshi veloti kami mati shtochachi kumatemi bahachi yachesu ani ami ben yivneta Ihirotila le'echadodi likrat kahala Penei Shabbat nekabela. Hayulim shisa shosayich verachu kol mevalayich yasisalayich Elohayich kim sos chatan al kala lech hadodi li rakahala pene Shabbat nekabela Yamin usmo tifrozi et Adonai taharitzi al yadish ve'im parzi ve'nizmecha ve'nagila ve'chadodi li rakahala ne Shabbat.
Please rise.
Boi v'shalom ateret malakam besimcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula boi chala lech hadodi hikrat kahala Pene Shabbat nekabela. Yasher koach. Very well done. Yasher koach. We continue. Don't get too comfortable, by the way, yet, kids. Don't get too comfortable. We continue on page 27. Mizmor Shir. Mizmor Shir, Shir leYom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir leYom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Negi b'boker chastecha amanatcha malek. We turn to the bottom of page 28. And I told you not to get too comfortable. We invite the Hebrew school kids up again to lead us in Sadiq Katamar on the bottom of page 28. Yifrach, Sadiq Katamar Yifrach, Sadiq Katamar Yifrach, Sadiq Katamar Yifrach, Erez Balvanon Yiske, Erez Balvanon Yiske, Erez Balvanon Yiske. Tulim beveit Adonai, Tulim beveit Adonai, Bechatzot Eloheinu Yafrichu. Yasher koach, Yasher koach. Ohodianu vun beseva, Deshenim ranim yihiu. Oyagid ki yashar Adonai, Tzuri velo avlat habo. Are the Hebrew school kids leading any more songs tonight? Well, thank you. That was really lovely. Yasher koach. There's a lot of ruach. I feel really inspired. So thank you. Thank you for leading us tonight in those lovely songs. We just did the psalm for Shabbat. It's a matter of question outside the fact that it's clearly marked Shir leYom HaShabbat, why exactly we say this on Shabbat. If you read the English or you're familiar with the Hebrew, nothing in it is particularly about Shabbat. So every week I have a different answer to this question, why are we
singing this, what actually makes this psalm about Shabbat. And I encourage you as you come back week after week to really take a look at it. And hopefully every week you discover something new. For me, what makes this about Shabbat is the end here. This week, every week it's different, but the bit about the righteous flourishing like a date palm. And again, more nature imagery. And old age remaining fruitful and fresh and bountiful. And that idea of all ages, of growing gracefully, of growing old together, of peace. To me, that's why this is Shabbat. That's one of the ideals of Shabbat. Is it lasts throughout, you have Shabbats throughout your lifetime. Shabbat grows with you. You grow with Shabbat. You get to your old age, and hopefully you've had a long, fulfilling life. You're fresh and fragrant in the fruity sense there, but that you've had a through the practices we've built up over life, through the practices we've built up over life, through the gratitude we've cultivated, through the goodwill we've hopefully obtained. In that way, we're fruitful. Right? That's our fruit. That's our fragrance. It's not the literal sense there, but what we've done with our life, and what we've gotten out of Shabbat, and how Shabbat has helped us grow and take peace and take stock throughout our life. Has been a waypost, a signpost alongside our life. So that bit about old age there and having a good, ripe old age, to me, this week, that's how this connects to Shabbat. Next week, it'll be different. Really, every week it changes. It's also the beauty of this psalm. We continue on page 29. Adonai Malach.
Adonai Malach, Gehut Lavish, Lavish Adonai, Osit Azar, Aftikon Tevel, Baltimore, Nachon Kisach Meaz, Me'olam Matai, Nasu Neharot Adonai, Nasu Neharot Kolam, Isu Neharot Dochiyam, Mikolot Maim Rabim Adirim Mishbereyam, Adir Bamarom Adonai, Edotecha Nehemnu Meyod, Leved Chanav Kodesh Adonai Lehorech Yamim, ay 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 ay
With that, we conclude Kabbalat Shabbat, the intro, our prelude to Shabbat. I feel remiss if I don't point out. Notice once again that rushing water just keeps popping up. Traditionally, there's a custom to do a little bit of studying between Kabbalat Shabbat and the beginning of Mariv. Sometimes it means the rabbi will say a few words, which I suppose I'm doing right now. Sometimes it means studying a little bit of traditional text. The most traditional of all of those texts is a text from the Mishnah, the first collection of oral law, the laws that we received from our ancestors but wasn't written down, wasn't codified until the year 150-200 CE. There's a Mishnah about Shabbat, detailing lots of different rules for Shabbat. So it makes sense if you were to pick a classic text to learn between Kabbalat Shabbat and Mariv, you would pick something from our earliest traditions dealing with Shabbat. That makes sense to me. And then if you look what the rabbis chose to put in there, it's a little puzzling. There's an excerpt, if you turn to page 31, I'm going to read it in English, but there's an excerpt. Traditionally, some Jews read all of chapter 2. I'm just going to read the first bit of chapter 2, which is what we have in Lev Shalem. With what materials may one and which materials are impermissible? One should not use a wick made of the moss growing on cedars, uncarded flax or raw silk, nor a wick made of woody fibers or wilderness grass or water weeds. One should not use pitch, liquid wax, castor oil, or consecrated oil that has become defiled and therefore has been set apart to be burned, nor the fat from the tails of sheep, nor tallow. Menachem the Mean declares, however, that the lamp may be lit with boiled tallow. Other rabbis say that tallow may not be used, whether boiled or not boiled. The rest of the chapter is like this, by the way. It all continues in this vein, discussing with what materials can you light the Shabbat candles. And it may seem especially irrelevant to us nowadays, where most of us, for our Shabbat candles, you can go to the supermarket, those nice pre-made white candles. There's no reason to worry about whether or not it's made from boiled tallow or the tails of sheep. It's not really something we're using for our Shabbat candles nowadays. But believe it or not, this particular chapter has never been particularly relevant to people. Even 2,000 years ago, most people already knew what to light Shabbat candles with. Most people weren't agonizing about what materials to make their Shabbat candles for. So the question remains, the question commentators on the Mishnah have been asking themselves for 2,000 years is why, one, even have this conversation? And two, why did the traditional authors of the Siddur, the people who were first compiling it in the year 900, 1,000, and then later on in the Middle Ages, why would they stick this chapter in here when it especially wasn't relevant? To me, the seeming irrelevance of it, or the difficulty of it, or why am I reading about sheep tails and tallow, whether or not it's boiled or not boiled, that's precisely the point why it was put there. Because it's easy to learn when it's something that's very clear and simple. And that's the fun part of learning. That's the easy part. When I read in the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not murder, I go, okay, that makes sense. Right? I've registered that. I'm down. I don't really need much more discussion. When you get to something that is much denser, something that's harder to wrap your mind around, you need to think about it a lot more. And sometimes you don't come up with a satisfactory answer. Sometimes you might not be able to explain why exactly the Mishnah records this conversation, or why the traditional authors of the Siddur inserted the entire thing, not just the first verse between Kabbalat Shabbat and Mariv. But whether or not they understood the particulars, the point, which to me is a very Jewish point, is love of learning. The love of learning something new, of growing in some way, of trying to break your mind on something you don't really understand. There's several sections in the Talmud where the rabbis are debating a particular piece of halacha, of Jewish law. And some rabbi will say, this doesn't even apply anymore. Or they'll say, it never was and it never will be, so why are we learning about this? Another rabbi will reply to him, it was given to us to learn because learning is its own reward. Even if I say, this law that we're talking about, it never even was. It's not even applicable anymore. It was given to us to learn because learning is its own reward. I love that idea. I'm always trying to learn something new. Break my mind trying to come across a new crazy idea. To me, that's one of the essential elements of Judaism. We never stop learning And learning is growth. We never stop growing. The moment we stop learning or stop growing, we've hit a dead end. We're never going to be fresh and fragrant in the house of our Lord. We're never going to make it, to that ripe old age there. No, but we have to keep on that path of always growing, always working on ourselves, personal growth. That's why, to me, we have this little inscrutable piece here. If it was scrutable, if you could understand it in a day, in 2 Shabbats, 3 Shabbats, you never need to learn it again. You're done. You've understood it all. The fact that it's a little inscrutable means you have to keep puzzling over. You have to keep coming back to it. And to me, that's the message of life. You have to keep coming back to it. You have to keep learning. That's what helps us grow. That's what helps us become better people. And that's what I want to take into Shabbat this week. That message of continuing learning, continuing growth, and always improving on myself. Thank you for learning some Torah with me, as is traditional. Thank you. We're going to turn to page 37. Please rise for Kaddish de Rabbanan. If you're in mourning or observing a yortzeit, please feel free to join along as well. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamal divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayidechol Beit Yisrael, v'ma'agala v'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Tamidehon ve'al kol Tamidehon ve'al kol ma'an de'askin be'oraita di be'atra hadain ve'di b'chol atar ba'atar yehe lahon ulahon shalama rabba china v'chista v'rachamin v'chayin arichin umzona ravicha uvkarna mi kodam avuhon di vishmaya v'imru Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim tovim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom imromav hu berachamav ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Please remain standing. We turn now to the Baruch Hu on page 39. This is probably the most ancient prayer we have, and it's a communal one. The high priest used to gather everyone to prayer, and they would respond, and we honor that tradition thousands of years later in shul tonight. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivaro mahar bivaravim. Umavir yom umevir laila umavir ben yom uven laila Adonai tzvahot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimoch aleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai hamari v'aravim. Page 40. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachvenu u'bekumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'lemitzvotecha le'olam vaed ki hem chayinu le'orech yameinu
ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ויבחר תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, אמרת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך ובדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, ושרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לו תותפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. אמונה כזו בקיים עלינו גימון. We're on the top of page 43. המעביר בנו בין גזרי ים סוף את רודפיהם ואת שונאיהם פתאומות טיבה, וראו בנה גבורתו, שיבחו והודו לשמו, ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם. משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא זהירות אוסף אלה, מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים לפני משה, זהליאנו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי בדד אדוני את יעקב וגלהו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאי ישראל. Top of page 45. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Yerushalayim. Page 46, please rise. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam ay beni uvein b'nei Yisrael otilei olam pisheshet yamim hasa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz u'hayom hasheni Shabbat v'yinachol Yikanol v'yikadosh shemei rabo Ve'almad yivrach pirutei ve'amlich malchutei B'chayechonu yomechon U'chayelechol beit Yisrael Bagala bagala U'vizman kavid Ve'yimeru amen Yehesh me'rabam me'borach Re'olam re'om me'almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach ve'yishtabach Yitbar v'yitromam ve'yitnaseh Ve'yitanor ve'yitanle ve'yitanle Shemel kursha berichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran me'alma Ve'yimeru Amen. We turn now to the silent Amidah on page 47. Please feel free to pray in English, in Hebrew, whatever language your heart speaks. The silent Amidah on page 47. If you are still davening, please continue to do so. Otherwise, once again, please rise. We continue with a not quite repetition on page 53. ויחולו השמיים והארץ
וחוץ זעם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי, מלאכתו אשר עשה. וישבות ביום השביעי, מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי עמו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, העליון, קונה שמיים וארץ, מגן עבור מדברו, מחיי מתים במאמרו, האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו, המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו, כי רום רצה להניח להם, כי רום רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבור וירא בפחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד, נאור הברכות. אל ההודעות, אדון השלום, מקדש השבת ומברך שלי, ומניח מקדושה ויעמדו שיונק, זכר למעשה בראשית. Page 54. Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Retzei b'mnuchatenu, kasheinu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chalkeinu b'toratecha, saveinu b'trumecha, v'samcheinu b'shuatecha, v'tahir libeinu le'yom techa ve'emet, ve'hanchileinu Adonai Eloheinu, de'avahu ratzon, Shabbat koshecha, ve'amnuchu Yisrael, mekodesh shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. Please remain standing for Kaddish Shalem, page 54. Yikra v'yikra shemei Rabba, me'alamal nirach yutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayachonim yemechonim v'chayachol Beit Yisrael, ma'galav yizman kariv ve'yimeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, ve'yolam lo me'hamaya, yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar yitram v'yinasei, v'yizdar v'yitalal shemei dekudesha, v'richu, le'hela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, v'amiram me'alma v'yimeru, amen. Tikabal zoton v'auton l'chol Yisrael, kadam v'hon divi shmaya v'yimeru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru. Amen.
You may be seated. Just for a brief moment, just for me to say Shabbat Shalom again. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for davening with me. Thank you for being here, either in person or on Zoom or live streaming, however you're watching this. It really means a lot that you've come out for tonight, that you've come together to pray together, to sing together, to bring in Shabbat together. It's been a pleasure getting to meet you all, and I hope I get to continue to meet you as the Shabbat grows. And if you're on live stream or Zoom too, I hope I get a chance to meet you as well, whether or not in person over the course of this Shabbat or on Zoom in some fashion. We're going to, in a moment, do Kiddush and then do Motzi as well, which I actually really like. Not a lot of shuls, I don't know if you know this is a very unique custom of this shul to do both Kiddush and Motzi rather than just doing Kiddush. Mostly because Motzi is normally said in the place where you eat a meal. But same thing with Kiddush, which is why we do Kiddush in shul. Well, back up a second. Most of us aren't eating a meal in shul, so why are we doing these customs that are supposed to happen where you're eating a meal? Why are we doing them right now? It used to be customary for shuls to have beds, even boarding lodges, and travelers would come and stay for the night at synagogue. And the Kiddush was added to the main service as a way of welcoming in those travelers, welcoming in those who are needy, welcoming in people who had no place to spend Shabbat, but were going to spend it at the shul. So they did the Kiddush, which you do where you're supposed to sit down to eat, so the people who were coming into the shul with no other place to eat would feel welcome, would feel they had a place to stay for the night. And even though, as a synagogue, we've transitioned from having active spaces in our synagogue for people to sleep, we don't necessarily have meals to give to people right here, right now. As a community, that value remains. We welcome people. We honor people. We try to make sure that those who have food, who don't have food, have a place to get food. Those who need a meal have a place to get a meal. That's what we're honoring tonight when we do the Kiddush and we do the Motzi. We're welcoming all into our community and hoping that no one feels that they can't come up and ask. Please rise for Kiddush. Savri, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kisham mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yavav ratzon hinchi lanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Do you have some water? Solid space. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kisham tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Amen. Here shoots. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Chaim. Sure. Sorry, finishing my piece of challah here, which is quite delicious. Thank you for that. It's really quite good. Please remain standing for Aleinu on page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latengenu la'aleon seher breishi, yelo asanu kegoye haratzot, lo samanu mishbachot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, anachnu korim, u'mishtacharim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu notesh shamayim veyoser haaretz, u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim imaha, u'shchinatu zo, megov meromim, hu Eloheinu heinon, men malkeinu bezulato, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשב אותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחת, אין עוד. All gonna go on the nine line. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Tonight we remember the yortzites of William Cohen, Louis Friedman, William Kroll, Hyman Bales, Esther Shoemaker, Jack Greenberg, Newton Gerber, Aline Heimovitz, Joseph Moses, Francis Jandorf, Isidore Kaplan, Jeffrey Nye, and Ruth Levin. If you are in mourning or you're observing a yortzeit, or it's your custom to, please rise and join me in the words of the ancient mourners' Kaddish as we gather together and commemorate them as a community. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra kirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya, v'yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. And now I believe we have announcements.
Shabbat Shalom again. Yasher Koach to the FJLC students who led us in some of the prayers, and Yasher Koach to Rabbi Gelman. After services, we do have a Kiddush out in the lobby. I'll remind you that currently our COVID protocols state that you must be seated if you're going to be taking off your mask to eat, but please do stay for some Kiddush. Tomorrow morning, we have services at 9:30. Followed by a boxed lunch, and then a short learning session with Rabbi Gelman, followed by some questions and answers. All of that will be hybrid. Sunday morning, there's morning minyan at 8 o'clock with FJLC in the morning. And then there's going to be the bagel and schmear Sunday morning also, followed by a Zoom question and answer session for those who are not here in person. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And again, thank you so much for being here tonight, in person, live streaming, or on Zoom. It means so much to me, and I'm so glad to be able to worship and pray with you and sing with you. Thank you. We conclude with Yigdal on page 62. Yigdal Elohim chai ve'yishtabach nimsa v'yein tel metziuto echad v'yein yachid ke'yichudo nelam v'gam ein sof le'achduto ein lo demut haguf ve'eno guf lo naharoch elav kedushato kadmon lechol davar asher nivra rishon v'yein reshit l'reshito Hino adon olam v'chol notzar yorei gedulato u'malchuto shefan nevuato netano elan shesegulato betif'arto Lo kam beYisrael kemosheot naviu mahabit et tamunato Torat metnatan le'amoel al yad nevio neman beito Lo yachalif ha'el ve'lo yamir dato le'yolamim lezulato tzofeh ve'yodeya setareinu mabit lesof davar bekadmato Gomel leish chesed kemifalo notein lerashara kerishato Yishlach leketz yamin Meshichenu liftov mechaykei ketz Yeshuato Meitim yechayel berochasto Baruch adei Shem tehilato Meitim yechayel berochasto Baruch adei Shem tehilato Shabbat Shalom!
Shabbat Shalom. Yes, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeshua.
Thank you so much.
We can't, because our TS says we can't have living food. It's sadly got to be wasted.
Yeah, I know. It's
Because
like a
then you're
waste.
touching or someone else is touching. It's just the RTS. You can go ahead and do it. You can do whatever you want. I have to follow the rules. I don't see what you're doing. I'm walking away. Do whatever you want.
I'll take one for myself. Go for it. Oh, the second one.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Big piece or half a
שחקי שחקי על החלומות, זו אני החולם צח, שחקי באדמה מי, כי עודני מאמין בה, שחקי באדמה מי, כי עודני מאמין בה, כי עוד